Hey, it's Amy Newmark. I hope you're having a wonderful week between Christmas and New Year's. I'm playing some of my favorite episodes for you this week, and then I'll see you on Monday, January 2nd with some new material for the new year.
Changing your life one story at a time. This is the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast with Editor-in-Chief Amy Newmark.
Hey, it's Amy Newmark with your daily dose of Chicken Soup for the Soul inspiration. It's Thoughtful Thursday, the day when I share a story that gave me new perspective, that made me stop and think. These are the stories that stick with me for years, and that's why I share them with you. Today's story is one of the 101 that made it into our very powerful book called Chicken Soup for the Soul, Find Your Inner Strength. It was an intense book. I remember having to edit it in small doses because it was making me so emotional. The book contains a lot of stories about people overcoming challenges, some real heavy-duty situations. And the reason I'm pointing out this particular story today is that it has a unifying theme that ran through the book, that no matter what your challenge, people will try to help you. And some of us have a lot of difficulty accepting that help. It's amazing how many Chicken Soup for the Soul stories I read from people who have trouble accepting help from their friends and families. Sometimes these strong people resist letting friends and family provide them with clearly needed assistance, even when they are going through such difficult times. It actually takes strength to accept help. You have to look at yourself differently, and you have to cede a bit of control to someone else. Deborah Ayers Brown explains this in her story from the book. The story is called Poison Ivy. And Deborah tells us that she was facing major surgery, but she was treating it like another chore on her to-do list. Instead of taking it easy or lining up some post-surgery support, the day before the surgery, Deborah attacked all the poison ivy in her garden, ripping out every vine she could find. She was worried about how little she would accomplish after her surgeries. She wouldn't be allowed to drive or work. She wondered how her family would manage if all the driving duties fell on her husband. And then her friend Caroline called and said, "I know how independent you are, but you need to let your friends help you. Please, at least until you get back on your feet." Deborah said that she didn't expect to need any help at all, and she heard Caroline sigh as she hung up the phone. The next day, Deborah was so crazy, she even offered to drive the car to the hospital for her husband. And then when she came to after the surgery, she told her husband to go home. But he refused, saying, "You need me, and I'm here." And something about that gave Deborah an incredible sense of peace. She says it was like a long overdue surrender. And that was the beginning of the new Deborah, the one who would let people help her. She said, "It was strange, but depending on family and friends seemed like a kind of truce with my lists and duties." Deborah started to feel different, and also like she was being a better friend. Her friend Caroline came by one day to visit and thanked Deborah for accepting her assistance. She said, "When you let someone help you, you allow them to feel needed." So Deborah ended up accepting help for the next 6 weeks. And as she reports, "I felt a freedom I'd not known for many years, a freedom from the constant turmoil of living up to my expectations of myself. I'd always thought that depending on others would be tantamount to admitting I was inadequate. Yet there was something incredibly generous about asking for help, something almost spiritual. I'd allowed responsibilities and obligations to strangle the life out of my relationships. Accepting help turned out to be the cure." In our next podcast, you'll meet Kelly Sullivan Walden, one of the nation's foremost experts on dreams, and she's going to explain how you can use your time asleep to listen to what your subconscious has been trying to tell you during the day. I'm Amy Newmark. Thank you for listening to the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast today. I'd love it if you would help spread the word by telling your friends about it, and you can also rate and review it on our iTunes page. If you'd like to read more thought-provoking, life-changing stories from the book I mentioned today, Chicken Soup for the Soul, Find Your Inner Strength, please go to our website, chickensoup.com.